Something unprecedented is happening in Washington right now. As we speak, the Biden administration is in emergency meetings, allegedly discussing the declaration of a state of emergency. Why? Well, they claim it's about the terror attacks, but we know better. With just 18 days until Trump's inauguration, they're laying the groundwork for something far more dangerous, martial law. The same people who called January 6th an insurrection are now preparing to use these attacks as justification for the ultimate power grab. Now, America's in pain right now, watching our republic being strangled by emergency powers and martial law threats. And speaking of pain, if you are one of the millions suffering from chronic discomfort, you need to hear this. Just as the deep state uses fear to control us, Big Pharma uses addictive painkillers to control you. But now there's Conolidine, the 100% drug-free solution that optimizes your body's natural pain-fighting system. While we fight for our freedom, fight your pain naturally. Visit trycono.com/NNN for a risk-free trial. Don't let pain control your life while we battle those trying to control our nation. Yes, it is going to be a wild next 18 days. If Biden tried to pull some kind of state emergency to retain power, we might have a real insurrection this time. Live from America TV, putting out this alarm just 8 hours ago, going viral. Need to bring this to your attention. He reports that Biden is currently in a meeting to decide whether or not to call a state of emergency, right on schedule. Listen to this.
There's talk about... Good afternoon, everybody. Jeremy Harrell here, LFA TV. Coming to you with some pretty, I wouldn't say maybe concerning news. I mean, I guess it's how you look at it, but the Biden administration, probably not Biden himself, he doesn't know which way he's walking, but the Biden administration is actively holding a meeting right now to decide whether or not to declare a state of emergency over the terrorism that's happening here domestically. Specifically speaking to the New Orleans truck murder and the Cybertruck explosion. It seems to be like this is going to be a pattern, and a lot of things are going to continue here. Last night when Senator Kennedy was asked if this is going to continue to happen or if he has any information on whether or not more terrorist attacks are going to happen within the United States, he said, I can't answer that. He said, I could, but I won't. That lets me know that the intelligence that he has in the Senate, with the committees that he's on, says that, all signs point to yes, right? That there's going to be more terrorist attacks here in America in the next 18 days leading up to President Trump's inauguration. They would love everything they could, or they would love it as much as possible if they could somehow disrupt or muddy the waters for Donald Trump's ceremony for his inauguration. And declaring a state of emergency would be one step closer to martial law. Now, while declaring martial law doesn't prevent the transfer of power, it would still gum things up and make things very difficult for President Trump. And now there's talk about the ceremony of the inauguration being in D.C. There doesn't need to be a ceremony. It's not a law that there's a ceremonial, inauguration. And today on my show, we discussed possibly, instead of canceling the inauguration, because that's exactly what they would want for President Trump. They would want to cancel it. But maybe changing the venue. How about Mar-a-Lago? Mar-a-Lago was built, or at least sold to the government, and then, kind of rebuilt to be a Southern White House. And it's somewhat of a fortress of its own. And it's completely secure. It's in a red state. It's in Florida. And just not have millions of people show up to it. Just invited guests, televise the inauguration, do it from Mar-a-Lago. Don't even go to the swamp. Don't feed into it, because if you go to the swamp, here's what you're going to get. Yes, you're going to get the inauguration, but are we sure that there's not going to be some kind of a dirty bomb or some kind of a terrorist attack on the crowd there? We know there's going to be protesters and Antifada and Hamas and all that. They want to prevent Donald Trump from taking power any which way they can. They want to make it as bad as they possibly can. So it's a stain in history.
Yep.
So what say you in the comment thread? On Live from America today, myself and my audience said, change the venue, have the inauguration, have the ceremony at Mar-a-Lago, and get right to work. The other option is continue to have it in D.C. as planned and go with whatever happens, knowing that the Biden administration is literally in a meeting as we speak to call a state of emergency because of the terrorist attacks that they're basically allowing to happen anyway. Or option C, not do it at all. Roll up your sleeves. Who cares about a ceremony? And get your ass to work. Let us know. What do you think? Cancel it? Change the venue? And do it at Mar-a-Lago? Or don't do it at all and get to work? Let me know in the threads. And please do me a favor. Repost, reshare to your stories, and retruth or retweet. Whatever it is. Share the video, guys. God bless. Let me know in the comment thread. LFA TV.
We got you, brother. We got you. On the Next News Network, we are transmitting your message far and wide. I think it's a great idea. I know that Trump doesn't want to back down. Canceling the inauguration and not doing it in D.C., you know, it is, of course, a point of pride to be able to stand there on the Capitol steps yet again, put your hand on the Bible in front of the nation with no fear. Going to Mar-a-Lago, of course, would be equally as beautiful, but it would also transmit a message that maybe he's not comfortable being in D.C. And we need the president to be comfortable in D.C. no matter what. But given the state of affairs right now, on, day 2 of 2025, I don't know what to expect here. We got this from Border Czar Tom Homan unleashing a scathing attack on Biden's catastrophic leadership failures, calling them an open invitation to terrorism.
States, and this is just another danger this country faces because this country's been lax on national security, and the groups like this been emboldened. Protesters walking down the streets in New York City carrying terrorist flags, chanting death to Israel and death to the United States, and nothing's being done about it. A border that was secure under President Trump, and this administration unsecured it on purpose. It's an open invitation for those around the world that hate this country. This is just another danger.
What else have we got here? Yeah, you see this? Another massive migrant caravan headed for the United States, a massive one. Here's video of it. This was posted by Proud Elephants US. Another they are rushing the border because they know it's about to get locked down. This is their last opportunity to come to the United States under a Biden regime before Trump kicks them all out. Elon Musk accusing the Biden administration of committing treason by intentionally opening the southern border wall. Treason is not a word you should just throw around. Elon Musk has a considerable amount of influence with his millions and millions of followers on X. And of course, he's been staying at Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, he's staying on site in a guest house, and he's been there since the election. This is what he said. End wokeness. He was quote tweeting end wokeness. This administration did not fail to secure the border. They deliberately opened it. It was treason, end wokeness says. 94 executive orders to open the border. Border wall sold off for $5 a piece. Razor wire fences forcibly removed. And Elon Musk quote tweeting 100% treason, he calls it. Elon Musk, man, not holding back. Remember this moment here? This is when they went ahead and used a forklift to open up that border. That's Joe Biden's doing right there. And here we have the border wall. Here's the listing if you want some border wall material for $5. Yeah, $5. That's how much it's going for. Thanks, Joe Biden. And then we have this. President-elect Trump is right about border security. And Jim Acosta, though, is frantic to deny reality. Acosta sneers. Here he goes again. But he's the one peddling fake news. Enough with the spin, Jim. Trump's calling out the real threats. We posted this about 7 hours ago on our X account, going viral. Let's watch.
The cyber truck. Let's talk about some other potential for chaos here. I mean, Donald Trump is posting misinformation about the deadly attack in New Orleans. We can show some.
Okay. Now, before we get into what Jim Acosta, Trump, Jim Acosta is spreading straight up disinformation right there on CNN. Because Donald Trump is not connecting the dots as Jim Acosta is claiming. Listen carefully.
Let's talk about some other potential for chaos here. I mean, Donald Trump is posting misinformation about the deadly attack in New Orleans. We can show some of this on screen. He posted on Truth Social earlier this morning that it was somehow related to immigration, blaming open borders. But CNN is reporting the suspect in New Orleans is a Texas-born U.S. citizen. We were just mentioning earlier in this program that the person who rented the Cybertruck in Las Vegas was a member of the U.S. Special Forces. Neil, I mean, we're right back where we were in 2017, where Donald Trump, he takes misinformation, he takes false news from wherever, and he puts it out there, and it just confuses the hell out of everybody. What's the solution here? I mean, why can't he just stick to the facts?
Look, in this particular instance,
or wait for the facts to come in.
In this instance, if the reporting is correct and what we're hearing from law enforcement, the suspect in New Orleans was in fact an American citizen who served in the Army and was radicalized by ISIS. That said, we can't ignore the fact that from 2021 to 2024, there were 400 people on the terrorist watch list that were stopped at the border. And those are just the people that we stopped. So it is a real issue. And I think that's what President Trump does.
Yeah, but Neil,
he brings focus to these.
You might have people coming across the border, and yes,
on the
that
terrorist watch list.
Okay, that's obviously a problem. But if that is not the case in New Orleans, and that is not the case in Las Vegas, you can't bring it up. You can't bring it up.
I think
it's not connected.
What the president's objective is to bring attention to what he identifies as the problem. He believes that concerns about border and border security were vital to his winning election and wants to highlight those issues. And I think that is what he has chosen to do in this particular instance. I think, as we have seen for really the past decade, you don't necessarily take all his tweets literally. It's about the issue that he's trying to raise.
This is the same old scapegoating that we've seen. Like, this is nothing new, and this is disgusting of what we're seeing. Like, what happened in New Orleans is disgusting. We should talk about all the facts to make sure this could never happen again, but not put it on the backs of my grandparents or my parents who were immigrants, all immigrants being something that's bad. Immigrants are good. Immigrants are good for our economy. Having bad people stopped, I agree, is good as well. But we can't let misinformation. This is how you get more attacks like this, like somebody from Dallas, Texas, driving to a Walmart in El Paso and start shooting Mexicans because they think that Mexicans are invading the country. This is where something like this starts.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, this is a problem, and you were saying a few moments ago you can't take him literally. Why shouldn't you take the president of the United States literally? Isn't that sort of a baseline expectation that he should stick to the facts?
I think, look, in this particular instance, and I didn't see the exact language he used in the True Social post, I don't think he was saying that this individual crossed illegally, or if he was, it was based on initial reporting that was incorrect, that somebody had crossed
We can show it up
Eagle
on screen
Pass.
again. I mean, he's talking about
But he has a valid
he's blaming Biden's open borders policy.
And again,
he's talking about that on Truth Social. I mean,
but does he tie it directly
when I said that
to
the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. Not in this case.
What he is saying in that
Truth Social post is false. That is false.
He's not saying that this individual crossed the border illegally, right, but there were 400 people on the terrorist watch list.
Of course, but when there's an act of terrorism in this country, the incoming president should tell the truth to the American people. I mean, that is just... Isn't that what the president should do at all times?
He's talking about securing the border, and he's been talking for years about securing the border, and he believes, and I think the data bears out that he won the election partially because
I mean, I just have to say, here he goes again. He talks about everybody else being fake news, and he's the one peddling fake news. But Neil and Chuck,
he's the one peddling fake news. Jim Acosta is the king of fake news. Yes, and this was also posted by President Trump on Truth Social back in 18 days to be continued. And speaking of the next administration, I thought this was an interesting side note because, I'm a big champion, a big cheerleader for Doge, the incoming group that's going to cut the fat. This group, Quiver Quantitative, they tagged Elon Musk and Doge in this. They have a new dashboard that tracks government payments to publicly traded companies. I thought this was really interesting because we'd never really seen this kind of technology applied before. But now, Quiver Quantitative is posting all of this. Look at all this money. I mean, let's see here. We've got Social Security Administration paid Imex Technology $13 million. Department of Energy paid Fluor Marine Propulsion $22 million. Department of Veterans Affairs paid Davol Incorporated $14,000. Department of Justice paid General Dynamics $2.7 million. General Services Administration paid General Dynamics another $2 million. Social Security paid Microsoft $1.8 million. I mean, this is an excellent tool, and I certainly hope that Elon Musk and Doge take a closer look at this. And now we have this open border. Amuse posting this 13 hours ago. MSNBC finally admitting Joe Biden's open border policies have devastated America. I saw this chart, and I saw this chart, in which you'll notice what's really interesting is that at the end, if you see at the bottom there in the corner, 2024, you'll notice a dip. And that's when they started the campaigning. That's around the time that we saw Kamala Harris suddenly saying, yeah, we're going to lock down the border. And she was like a big now. She was suddenly the border czar, right? So you see people starting to listen. I don't know if this was the drop there was the result of Kamala Harris saying it or if they were afraid because they knew Donald Trump was coming. I'm not sure. But here's MSNBC.
So, Steve, let's turn to your second chart where you highlight how the border and climate change were major issues in the year that was.
The border, yes, that's exactly right, of course, Jonathan. The border was not Biden's finest moment, frankly. You can see what happened here. And Trump is not wrong when he talks about how border crossings were quite low. They were running about 74,000 a month when he left office. And they, in fact, did shoot up. Some of it was some things Biden said and some ways that they put a moratorium, for example, on deportations. But, in fact, we did get up here almost to 300,000 a month. But what maybe people don't entirely know is that border crossings have come back down almost to where they were under Trump. They're running at about 100,000 at the moment. So we went up the hill and we went down the hill, but unfortunately that was pretty costly to buy.
So, Steve, let's turn to your...
Unfortunately, that was pretty costly. So, yes, it's going to be a wild next 18 days. What do you guys think about this, though, huh? What about this inauguration? This state of emergency call. But then we got this Judge Janine destroying liberal Jessica Tarlov on the 5 today. Let's listen.
A huge change in the amount of people that are getting into this country and the number of deportations. So we now have the lowest number of border crossings that we've had in 4 years. Going back,
but they're flying them in. Why cross the border if you get a free flight?
It's not true, and we've removed 700,000. That they're just flying them in without background checks. Wait a minute. You think they're flying them in and they do background checks on them? Yes, I do think that you get a background.
From where? From Chile? From
when you
Venezuela?
Look at what's going on with Mexico and Central America and the amount of cooperation that's been going on right now with the executive.
Are you telling me that Haiti, Guatemala, Venezuela are giving us background checks?
You're telling me that in the last year where we've gotten out over 700,000 people, which is the most that we have deported since the year 2010, that we have the lowest number of border crossings, that we have record seizures of drugs that are supposed to be coming across the border, that this is a wide open border.
So then why did Biden lose if he's so great?
It was too little too late in addressing this problem. But when you say...
Too little too late. This guy, Agent X, though, he wasn't having any of it.
Can be. For her take to say that, how is this heifer on TV? Judge Janine just absolutely destroyed her. Like, I don't understand how dumb people can be. For her take to say that we're actually getting good background checks from illegal aliens coming across the border is absolutely absurd. Judge Janine actually destroys her. Jessica Tarlov needs to go. She does not belong on TV at all.
Oh, yes, 18 days, friends. The world's going to change. Let's hope we can get there. Now, the evidence is mounting: emergency powers, potential martial law, discussions of moving the inauguration. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Some are suggesting Mar-a-Lago is an alternative inauguration site, a fortress in a red state. But here is what we really need to ask. Is the deep state creating chaos to justify an emergency power grab? Are these terror attacks just an event to prevent Trump's return? What do you think they're planning? Let us know in the comments and show your resistance with our new MAG Avengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Our gear is perfect for these uncertain times.